Welcome back to Midday. We're down at the Camel's Art Gallery today. We're checking out a really cool exhibit that was gifted to the Kamloops Art Gallery by a fellow whose name is Hugh Hanson Davidson. And joining us today to talk about it, curator of the Art Gallery, Chero Neville. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Very welcome. What a great thing for the Kamloops Art Gallery to have this bequeathed to them. I understand this in its entirety. His collection of artwork was bequeathed to the Art Gallery just in 2014.
Yeah, well, the final bequest from his estate when he passed away in 2014 came to us, and that was an agreement over a long time. And the original part of his collection came to us in 1998 when we opened this building. And so he was looking for a home for his work, which he had amassed over many, many years. And we were the kind of institution at the time, kind of young in our collection, where we could take the entirety of it. And so that really interested him, because then he wouldn't have to have some of it go somewhere and another lot go somewhere else.
So he himself wasn't a painter or a drawer so much. He had other artistic gifts, but he, over the course of his lifetime, collected an amazing amount of artwork.
That's right. He was a musician and a composer primarily, and his interest in his career was in music. He worked for the BBC, for the CBC, for the Canada Council for the Arts, the National Arts Centre in Ottawa, and so he was an arts administrator and a music programmer. But those positions enabled him to travel a lot across the country and have relationships with people in the visual arts. And he I think also he grew up with a collection in his home. And so he had an abiding interest in supporting artists, supporting the dealers who represented them. And so this really, the exhibition represents his collecting interests from early on until he passed away.
An eclectic collection, one could say, just a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll see it's organized chronologically and by the places that he lived. So it really paints a picture of his biography through the artists who he patronized. And so, for example, early on, his collection reflected more of a traditional kind of aesthetic. There's a beautiful A.Y. Jackson, who was a Group of Seven member, and that's right beside a portrait of his mother, Rhoda McFarlane, which was painted by a Beaver Hall group painter, who was the Beaver Hall group was like the Group of Seven, an organized group of painters who his family would have known. His mother would have had her portrait painted, and that would have been on his wall growing up.
So he developed a taste for that style.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can see how it progresses over time as he becomes more knowledgeable and sophisticated in his taste. But the collection is really eclectic. So he's also had an interest in folk art. And so there's this beautiful ceramic cabbage by Victor Saginski. And then there is a very interesting kind of light bulb work that's kind of sculptural by Robert Hughes, who's from Victoria. So there's something for everyone.
And then I noticed as well, there's a picture of a boy in front of a Save on Foods. What's the underlying theme there?
Yeah, that is a work. There's actually 3 works by Chris Woods in the exhibition. And he was somebody who Hugh became familiar with in Vancouver when he moved there. And they're very eye-catching. As soon as you come in the gallery, they are quite striking. And I think Hugh was drawn to them because there's kind of he paints everyday scenes, but then there's this underlying reference to religious iconography. And Hugh actually commissioned a whole series of paintings that were displayed in a church because he was really interested in talking about his beliefs, but in a kind of contemporary context.
So to really appreciate this exhibit, it's good to read a little bit more about the man who bequeathed it to you, because he has an interesting story, interesting that he would bring it all to one spot. People can go through and see each sort of chapter of his life as he moved around the country and see how his taste changed and, as you said, matured for his love of art.
Absolutely, and you can do that in our book that we produced.
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
There's a great essay by Roger Bollet, who actually guest curated this exhibition for us. So there's a really nice long essay that tracks his biography, basically, from when he was a young boy till his death.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for talking to us about it today, Chero. Pleasure as always. For people who are interested to come down and see this exhibit by Hugh Davidson, his entire collection has been bequeathed to the Camels Art Gallery, and a lot of it is up here right now. This exhibit continues on until June the 18th, so plenty of time to come down and check it out. We'll be back after a quick break. Stay with us.